Hello, this is Antipeter1M, and I'm going to do a video on the idea of randomism in writing and whether it's a good thing. I would say that the majority of writers, creative writers, use random ideas to generate their writing to start off with. These people are generally known as pantsers, P-A-N-T-S-E-R. The opposite of pantser is outliner. An outliner is someone who outlines their writing and then writes the story based on that outline. But there are some things, categories of writer which I believe are not covered by these, including what I call the thematist. A thematist is someone who has a particular theme in mind and will write with an eye to that theme. So, for example, as an animal artivist, I will write to create a theme that is in support of animal rights and against animal exploitation. Now, I was just thinking about my writing and thinking about the ideas that I generated recently, and I realized that some of them actually are quite hard to execute. They were great ideas, but they would have taken a lot of creative effort on my part to actually complete the story. So I may have decided not to do those particular stories and to just reject those ideas. So it's a very complex process, is writing. My own intuition tells me that very good writers will sift through ideas and take ones that are particularly fruitful and bountiful for a great story. They do this with a great amount of instinct. So you'll find a writer that knows what his strengths and weaknesses are, will use his strengths to find an idea that is really, really, really good. I regard myself someone as a jack of all trades because I'm good at many things, but I don't know how to become a true master of a particular niche or craft, specific craft, such as writing a short story. I've done maybe one or two really good short stories, but there have been fluke shots in my ideas, in my conceptions. They've been fluke shots because I don't know how to generate and regenerate really, really great stories. And maybe every great story is unique and the path to a great story is unique. But I also think that I haven't created a formula for myself, whereas I could create a formula for myself that would generate and regenerate really, really good stories every time. So to answer the question, should I be a pantser, should I be an outliner, or should I be a thematist as a writer? I believe that having the skills of all three of those categories is important as a writer. At some stage in your ideation, you are going to reject ideas based off of your instinct, and you will either be a pantser, an outliner, or a thematist. But these are just categories; they're only arbitrary. Well, they're only labels for the way that writers do their processes. Writers work in mysterious ways, so to speak, and there is no set way of dealing with anything. But I think that the really cluey writers will do things that are in their own best interests and create works which are really, really, really robust and interesting and intriguing and curiousable and that sort of thing. I think that writers and other artists in their own field can teach us a lot about what to do and what not to do as well. I've learned a lot from artists and writers who are not good, as much as I've learned from writers who are good. I can think of the music composer Philip Johnson, who used to be my teacher at high school, who I've learned a lot of because he wastes a lot of effort in writing out ideas which are not very interesting. But they're just semi-interesting, but I think that he's wasting his time. And that has taught me a lot about the writing process. There's a lot of things that I write which waste time as well. And I could definitely streamline my processes much more efficiently and create things which are much more high quality, but at the same time don't waste my time when writing them. So I'm going to try and streamline my processes. That's the basic idea of this. So whilst I'm open to writing about just about anything in life, I still think that I have some kind of duty to write animal artifice stories which have a specific purpose to deter people from exploiting animals. So that's kind of my ulterior motive in a way, and I think it's a good motive to have, but I'm still going to be open to writing about general things as well. So maybe 50-50. Now, honestly, I find writing poetry significantly easier, especially short poems, than writing short stories. Because short stories, you need to have a great amount of idea of the form and the outcome, and whether it's going to work. So writing poems is just like you can just write on a whim. You can write a line here and a line there and put them together and see how they combine, and or just be inspired by a single sensory idea. Very easy, you know. It's not easy for everybody. I think some people do find short stories easy to write, but that's because they are used to that system, whereas they're not poets. I'm essentially a poet, so I find writing poetry much easier. One other thing that I can learn about writing is that you have to let writing take you wherever it takes you, kind of thing. Once you're at a certain point in the story or in the creation process, you need to let things, like I had an idea for a story about a man caught in a schoolyard and he steals a book from the schoolyard, but I didn't envisage him as a bald-headed person that I'd seen at the library recently. And when I let that idea come through and accepted that idea, the story became quite significantly better. So I just think accepting ideas as they come to you can always be a good process to have. So things do change in the creative process. Sometimes they shouldn't change, and sometimes they should change. That's why being a pantser or an outliner is not as good as being both at the same time. But I've been a writer for so many decades, and I think that having a grasp of the process takes so much experience, and you need to have a kind of modus operandi which is developed over many decades as a writer. So I'm not getting to the end of it by any stretch of the imagination. I'll be a writer for as long as I live, probably. Rightio, these are my ideas today. Hope I'm able to help myself, because I want to be able to fruitify and consolidate my thoughts and my ideas on writing, and I hope I've done that in this video. So I will see you next time. Bye for now.